Hello everybody and welcome to another video on the Pole Position YouTube channel. Yes, I know it has been a while, but it's good to be back on the channel. Got a few videos lined up, which is really good. I've been doing a few blogs recently on my actual website page for like race reviews and news that's been coming out. So if you want to check them out, I'll leave the link in the description for them. So I've been doing more blogs than actual videos recently, but I thought I'd come back to it this week and thought I'd do a few bits, like I said, a few more videos coming up, and this one is going to be focused on just some of the news that I've missed throughout not being able to do videos. So yeah, I'm going to talk about some of the topics that have been around in the last couple of months. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first one is a bit more recent. It's obviously Honda's decision to pull out of F1 after the end of next season, and obviously that then leaves the Red Bull team and the Alfa Tauri team without a main engine for 2022. Now, personally, this is a bit of a strange one, I feel, from Honda. I understand their reasoning for doing so. It's because obviously they're using it as we want to be more carbon neutral. I think by is it 2050. And that's fine. Obviously F1 you know, is a sport where obviously we're using the fastest engines possible, but the last few years have obviously seen the turbo hybrid era. We're seeing the lower aspirated engines. So I think, you know, F1 is trying to do it, and F1's goal is actually to be more carbon friendly by 2030. So they have an even closer goal than Honda have set out for one of their reasons to leave. We obviously know being in F1 is expensive, but Honda don't have that where they're paying for a whole team like Mercedes are doing, or Ferrari. You know, Honda are just supplying the engines to Red Bull, who do the chassis and you know, everything else themselves. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one really, because I feel like Honda is now finally getting its step. It's a quick engine. It's a lot more reliable than it was you know, when they had that time with McLaren when they first came back. It was like a canal boat. It was a horrible noise, and it didn't last 3 laps. That's being a bit harsh, but it's true. It was depressing being a McLaren fan in that time, because whether it be the team and the you know, and the engine or the engine or whatever it was, there were issues, you know, with that partnership. But with Red Bull and Alfa Tauri, we're seeing you know, good work going. The engineers are working together. The chassis and the engine is good. Obviously, it's not to the point of trying to beat Mercedes every single race. That it's not there yet. But I feel like I've had race wins. You know, Red Bull have had race wins. Alfa Tauri, Pierre Gasly has won a race this season. That's how crazy it's been. But you know, that Honda engine, you know, is good enough to win races. So it's really strange that, especially with the new regulation changes for 2022, which is supposed to help bring the field closer together, it's a strange time that's exactly when Honda are pulling out. But you know, we may get more information on it as it unfolds, but it just seems a bit strange to me. Obviously Red Bull are committed. You know, they're staying in the sport. They signed the Concord agreement, which again was you know, happened when I haven't been doing videos. So all the teams have signed up, and obviously that's great that Williams have as well, and teams like Haas and Alfa Romeo, they're all staying in the sport as well, and committed, I think, till, is it 2025, I think, with this new agreement. So it's good. Obviously Mercedes have stayed in there as well. Ferrari, who always say they're going to leave, have you know, signed the contract as well. But yeah, Red Bull are committed. Christian Horner, the team principal of Red Bull, has denied that there's clauses in either the drivers' Red Bull contracts to say that if Honda pulled out, they would be able to leave. Specifically, it was more about Max Verstappen's, because obviously he signed when Honda were committing themselves to F1 again. So it was always an issue that if Honda pulled out, would, you know, Max Verstappen be able to leave his Red Bull contract? Christian Horner has denied that. and says that both drivers are upbeat, and there's no clause relating to the power unit in either of their contracts. So they're saying that there isn't an issue there. Whether behind the scenes Max Verstappen is obviously unimpressed with Honda leaving, we don't know. I expect he'll be asked that during this weekend. And then of course they've got the issue of who they're going to get as a power unit for 2022. There's no way really that Mercedes will want to do that. They already obviously do Williams and Racing Point, which will be Aston Martin for next year, and then of course McLaren, they're joining next year as well, who are moving from Renault. So that's 3 engines they're already supplying to 3 teams, sorry. Ferrari, again, I don't think they'd want it. I don't think Red Bull at this moment in time would want the Ferrari engine, but they already supply Alfa Romeo and Haas as well. So yeah, they won't want to be doing it. So it falls back to Renault, which is interesting. And obviously everyone was talking about how the Drive to Survive for this series coming for the season we're having now would be interesting, and see if there were any discussions about this. But yeah, the Christian Horner, Cyril Abiteboul news stories will be flying around, and I expect they'll be asked that in the team principal press conference going into this weekend's race as well. So yeah, it looks like it would be Renault, and I think Renault would have to supply if Red Bull couldn't find anybody else. But I think we're going into 2022. There's an option where it would be great if we could get other engine suppliers coming back in. BMW, see if we get Porsche in. I think this is where F1 need to try and get more teams into the sport going into 2022, because obviously it's great that we're keeping, but it'd be nice to maybe add even more. Think of all them young drivers that are being sort of lost because there's not enough spaces in Formula One. Bring more teams in, allow more teams to come in a lot easier. And obviously we're getting as many drivers and yeah, more people racing on the grid. That's ultimately, we want to see the best drivers, and obviously there are drivers that are missing out at this moment in time, and to get more teams in as well would be great. So yeah, that's about Honda really. It's a shame that they're leaving. I'm a bit surprised that they've announced it now, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Red Bull and AlphaTauri go after this. So yeah, that's Honda leaving Formula One. And the next one I'm just going to talk about is Stefano Domenicali. Now, obviously, he has been announced as the new president or CEO of Formula One. He's going to replace Chase Carey. Now, Chase has done a fantastic job. Look, I can't say enough of how well they've done since taking over from Bernie Ecclestone. I think they've done a great job. You just look at, I think, how many fans they brought in from the digital side. That was never utilised before, especially people from my age and younger who were growing up watching the sport. You can now see F1. The F1 content is everywhere, almost daily. When the races aren't on, whereas it used to be the case where it would only happen in the 3 days that Formula One would be on during the weekend. But you get loads of YouTube videos now. You've got the podcast that goes on directly from Formula One. You've got more posts that are going up on the website. They're using the social media outlet of Twitter and Instagram and things like that, and it's really it's really worked. I think they've gained so much more in terms of reaching a younger audience. I think they've done a fantastic job, and obviously they've tried things at the events as well. Some have worked, some haven't, but you have to try them things. So I really think that Liberty Media in Chase Carey have done a great job. Sean Bratches, who was there before he left last season, they did a good job as well. He did a good job as well. So it's a shame that Chase is leaving. He's obviously going. He's not leaving the actual Formula One. He's just taking a step back, and obviously Stefano Domenicali is obviously replacing him to be the main figure that's at events with Ross Brawn. And I think it's a good decision. I loved Domenicali at Ferrari. I'm not a huge Ferrari fan, but I thought he was a fantastic interviewee. I think he really did always a good interview. Always gave great insight, and I think that's only going to help him and Ross Brawn together to try and help push F1 even further. I think it's a good decision. There was obviously talks about Toto Wolff. taking that role, and you know, Toto did say that he had initial discussions, but you know, didn't go any further. I think Domenicali is a good replacement. In terms of going on to Wolff as well, you know, he is still undecided on his future at Mercedes. He's sort of spoken about how he doesn't want to sort of bottleneck talent going forward, and he obviously knows that there are, you know, fresh talent underneath himself and maybe a couple of other figures at Mercedes that are just waiting to take them roles, and he doesn't want to sort of stay in the role too long and, you know, waste the talent, or either they go somewhere else, or, you know, they waste it altogether. And I understand that. And I think Toto is another one who gives great insight, doesn't normally dodge a question if he's answered it, and I think, you know, he's somebody who's still, for me personally, I enjoy listening to on a race weekend. So hopefully he wouldn't leave the sport altogether, but I understand if he, you know, wants to leave the team principal aspect of the role. But obviously he's still undecided on his future at Mercedes, unless it, you know, has happened inside and it hasn't been announced to the outside world yet. Hamilton again is another one, hasn't, you know, confirmed his contract for next year. Only Bottas has announced his for 2021. So, you know, there's still loads of contracts flying about for the end of this season. I'm going to go on to another one in a minute as well. But yeah, still undecided, but good choice from Formula One to sign Stefano Domenicali for the president and CEO role for Formula One. Now, I said I was going to go on to contracts. Somebody I'm going to bring up specifically is Antonio Giovinazzi at Alfa Romeo. Now, he feels that he's done enough for his seat for this season to re-sign for 2021, and he's sort of given everything to be in that seat for next year. Now, it's interesting because Alfa Romeo have a sort of discussion really to be had, because Giovinazzi is you know, technically still a Ferrari driver as well. He's in the sort of Ferrari program, and obviously, you know, has been doing okay in races. I wouldn't say he's set the world alight in terms of the grid and where he finishes, but you know, the Alfa Romeo hasn't been at its best this year. They had a better season last year. Kimi Raikkonen again has had another one of them years where he just seems to be, you know, driving around, doesn't really matter anymore. He obviously gives it everything, but the car just isn't there, so he sort of looks like he understands that. But I think if Kimi says he's happy to stay another year, then Alfa are not going to say no to keeping Kimi Raikkonen, which means it's Giovinazzi's place that could be swapped around for somebody else. Now, I know, like I said, he's still in the Ferrari program, but there are 3 younger drivers in the academy that are really looking at getting a seat for next year. Now, obviously, we know Haas is another one that could take Ferrari academy drivers, and that again is an option that they could do, because for me personally, I like Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean, but if I was Gunter Steiner, I personally would be looking somewhere else for drivers. I think Sergio Perez is another one that's you know, talked about being you know, replaced at Haas. He said his future is going to be decided hopefully in the next couple of weeks, so we may hear from that. Nico Hülkenberg is another one. I think Perez Hülkenberg would be a good lineup for Haas. Whether they could afford the pair of them at the same time, you know, we'd have to sort of see about that for Haas. But Mick Schumacher, I think Callum Ilott, I want to get his name right, and Robert Schwartzman are 3 drivers at this moment in time in the Ferrari Academy that could really, you know, make that next step into Formula One, and Alfa Romeo and Haas are the places really that could supply that. So I think it would be an option where Alfa Romeo would decide to maybe take one. I think Raikkonen and Mick Schumacher for next year would be an interesting prospect for Alfa Romeo. I certainly wouldn't turn that down if you know, I was team principal. If I was Fred Vasseur, I'd be making sure that would be an option for me, because like I said, Giovinazzi is okay. You know, he sort of does the job, but you know, having the name of Mick Schumacher in the team, I don't know, I just think it would hype it up a little bit, and having Raikkonen and Schumacher in there would, I think, you know, be better than Giovinazzi. That's just my personal opinion. Again, obviously talk of like I said, Haas. They're the sort of one of the main ones yet to decide their lineup yet. I would replace both of them, but that's just me. Like I said, there's no disrespect to them too, really, but I just think that there are maybe better options out there to replace. Maybe they just replace one or the other. I'm not too sure, but yeah, that's sort of what I would go with. But it all depends really on Raikkonen, and there's talk that he is going to stay for next year, which means that it is Giovinazzi that's going to lose his place if Alfa Romeo do promote somebody, and I think that would be the case. I think they would go for one of the Ferrari Academy drivers, but which one would it be in your opinion? Let me know in the comment section below. But personally for me, I think it would be Mick Schumacher. And they're just some of the news topics. Obviously we've had the decision of Williams to the Williams family to step aside and Derillion Capital take control of the works team. So it's, yeah, that was a bit of a shame, bit of a shock. Obviously Claire Williams as well decided to step down as team principal. So Simon Roberts, I think, is the one that's now in charge. So yeah, that was a bit of a sad. That happened obviously at the Italian Grand Prix. So it was a bit of a shame to obviously lose the Williams family, but luckily they are moving forward now. They're keeping the name, they're keeping everything at the factory as well. The two drivers, George Russell and Nicholas Latifi, are staying for next year as well. Again, I think it's good for stability that is the case, and hopefully they do sort of keep performing. That I think they've progressed so much for 2021, and they've progressed for this year as well, that it can only help them for next year. So I think it's looking better for Williams, and obviously with the funds coming in from the new business, it's only going to help for 2022 ultimately, is what their goal is. But if they can keep pushing up the order, I mean, George Russell has done amazingly well in qualifying this year to get that car up to that level, so close to them points. And so it's so much better. Russell, I think at Mugello, said it was one of the best races he's had at Williams, because they were so close to fighting at sort of the mid table and trying to get them final points. I mean, fighting with Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari. When was the last time Williams were doing that? I know obviously that shows Ferrari have had issues with their pace and their car this year, but just for Williams to be doing that is incredible. So yeah, obviously a little bit of talk about Williams. There are, like I said, other videos I'm going to do in the next coming weeks. Obviously going to do about a preview about the race this weekend, the first German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring since 2013. I do usually prefer Hockenheim. I think that's one of the best races normally of the season, always provides us with entertainment. Hopefully the Nürburgring is the same, but I'm going to be doing a preview on that. I might do sort of, I know it's past the mid-season now, but I might do a mid-season review of the races so far, and I might do a driver lineup thoughts for 2021. Now, like I said, most of them have been confirmed, but we still have a couple of other spots that might be available. Like I said, it could be some of the academy drivers at Ferrari, it could be a few other drivers, so I may do a video on the thoughts on the 2021 driver lineup. So like I said, there are just a few more videos I might be doing. Like I said, I apologise that I haven't put any videos out recently. I will leave a link to the website, obviously, where I've been putting my blogs for the race reviews. But yeah, I look forward to be doing more videos. So that's this one with the F1 news. If there's any more news that comes out, I will be doing videos on it, of course, and my thoughts on it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please like if you've enjoyed. Let me know in the comments any thoughts from it, and I will see you all in the next one. See you soon.